want to get onto this word that, as an estate agent, I hate. And I don't know why I hate it, because I don't ever have to deal with anything like that, but searches.
Oh yeah, we love searches, don't we?
You love searches. What are you searching?
So the main things that we need, if the client is buying with a mortgage, we have to have searches.
Okay.
If they're a cash purchaser, they can choose whether or not they want to buy searches, if they want to order the searches. So the bank requires us to at least have the local authority search and the environmental search. I believe I would have to look at the guidelines, because I believe some lenders do, some have different requirements. As with indemnity policies, if you're not obtaining a search, some lenders allow it, some lenders don't. So the local authority would be the main search, and we would advise clients to obtain it even if they were buying in cash. It has everything to do with any planning entries, historic planning entries, building control entries. So if any extensions have been done, any windows replaced, or they might not have anything, but we know that the sellers have done work to the property. So we know there's a conservatory, but the local authority doesn't reveal any entries, building control entries or anything like that. So we then raise inquiries on that basis and say we assume that no consents were obtained for that particular, let's say, extension, because the local authority is silent. It doesn't show any entries on there. So it's really important, and it's also important on things like enforcement notices. So often if there's a dangerous structure, council will enforce the tenant of the building to put the damage right. So they would have to, like I said about the wall that was falling, and they had to repair it. So so enforcement notices, it also touches on contaminated land, something that we would have to report to the lender if there's some remediation notices issued in the area for contaminated land. So lots of different factors. And for new builds, for example, we'll look at things like all the planning entries to make sure they've discharged all the conditions in the planning permission for that estate or that development. And it's all there. So it is really important to have.
With a new build, and you're checking all of these things, is there some sort of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. If a development is only half done, there's going to be certain things.
Oh yeah, phases. They call them phases. You have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, let's say.
Right.
Yeah.
But what would happen if somebody bought a house in phase 2 and everything is fine and dandy and it all complies, and then something goes wrong with phase 3? Does that nullify? Can that have a negative effect if somebody?
Well, it depends what it is. I mean, but if everything was fine with phase 2, then there shouldn't be an issue with phase 3.
Right, okay.
And if it's anything to do with the building itself, well, that's an issue for phase 3 anyway.
So people buying a new build can be quite confident.
Yeah. And it also depends if you're buying off plan. So off plans, often we don't have anything. They're not even connected to mains at the time. It's not even built, it's just land.
Yeah.
So off plans are completely different because, there's an estimated build completion date, which will be probably about 2 years, 3 years to take for them to build. And you exchange on the basis that, it will be built by a certain period of time, and they might not be built by a certain period of time. So there will be that.
There's a tolerance built into that.
Yeah, and buyers have to have a mortgage in place. And it's very risky, because if you are buying with a mortgage, you need assistance from the bank. You need to make sure you have funding in place for when that property is actually completed. It's very risky for off plans, unless you're a cash purchaser.
Yes, but of course, if you're a cash purchaser and you're cutting out the middleman, the mortgage company, you still need to carry out safeguarding yourself that you're not buying a pup.
Yeah. So everything, all the requirements, or let's say all the conditions, will be in the contract, and that's where the solicitors step in to make sure that the contract covers absolutely everything for that off-plan property. So there's things like called long stop dates. So the developer has to build by a certain date. If they don't, they obviously breach of contract. They can, rescind the contract and all of that. I'm not going to go into detail. But,
no.
But yeah, there's yeah, lots to think about with new builds. They're a lot of work. A lot of work.